All right. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Alpha Omega's Giving Thanks virtual tasting experience. We are thrilled to have you with us today. Barrett Siegel, I'm the virtual ambassador here at Alpha Omega, and I'm going to be your moderator for our tasting today. I have two requests as moderator. First request, have a great time. Enjoy the wine, ask questions, be interactive, and we're really looking forward to sharing these wines and listening to some requests. My friends, please keep your microphones on mute throughout the duration of the tasting. We do want to communicate with you. We want this to be interactive. We want to listen to your questions and your comments. You can submit those in the chat box, and we will do our best to answer them all and discuss them. Same thing when we listen to some of these artists perform. If you have questions for the artists, we're streaming some great into this virtual experience. Submit your questions, your comments, and we'll bounce them over to them so we can get a nice virtual experience together. This might be our most unique virtual tasting we've ever done here at Alpha Omega. You've done some of these with us before. You know, we typically do a food, some cheeses. We go and talk about food and wine. For this experience, we brought in 4 incredible singers from SIP Napa. This is an organization of artists that are not only, but they also produce, and some of their songs have been performed by some of the best artists that we know. A great country music scene. Many of these artists are based out of Nashville, but they're streaming in live from all over the country, and we're excited to have them. Another thing that we're doing today is we are raising some money for our fire reliefs here, and that percent of the tasting package, the proceeds are donated to the Napa Valley Community Foundation. In each special experience, 25% of the proceeds are going to be donated to support our fire relief. So we thank you for being here and supporting us, and have a blast and raise some money and listen to some great music. We've got an all-star cast here today. Again, joining me here on our barrel building crush pad overlooking Pritchard Hill, absolutely Alpha Omega winemaker Henrik Poulsen, associate winemaker for Alpha Omega, and once again here, Robin and Michelle Baggett. Cheers to you all. Thank you for being here.
Eric. Lovely. Robin.
I think you.
I was looking at you, Michelle.
No, we're so glad to be here today to share some giving thanks with you. We have so much to be thankful for, and we are grateful for our wonderful community who reached out in 2017 and said, how can we support during the fires? The same ones of you and some new club members reaching out, how can we support? So we're doing Napa Valley Community Fire Relief. We really need your help here. We know of so many employees and friends, employees and vintners and that have lost, their gone, their clothes are gone. And Kelly back there is trying to tell somebody to smile, and it's Robin. She's distracted. What is my hair out of place?
You made me sad talking about all the.
We are so grateful for your purchase of the package and that donation. We're also going to do this for our giving party in December. And you can also website and learn more about our giving and the affirmation. We have a fundraising goal we'd like to achieve, and we hope you will support and help us. And I'm, really excited about today. It's the first time we don't have a food component. How are you feeling about that, Robin?
We have wine though.
Wine is food. He wanted to do a little turkey demonstration, but I really wanted our souls to be filled with music today and thinking about music education and what's happening in schools today with music education for our kids. It's been tough for years. They've been cutting these budgets, but performing arts is so important, my friends. Music feeds your soul. So that's my food component. But, we really need to understand that music is math, math is science. Science is doctors, our astronauts, our biologists, our
winemakers,
research scientists who find cures for diseases. So our winemakers, our lab, that's all science. So please enjoy this music with this beautiful wine. And we're so excited to share it with you. And we're so glad to have Matt with us today because he loves music. He has a podcast. He loves to pair wine and music. So
I do.
he doesn't like to eat. So we did do the food.
Well, Barrett plays a pretty mean guitar.
Hey,
Barrett can
hear him out a
sing.
little bit.
And he
Okay.
can play. And you play the ukulele.
A little ukulele.
Do you
Yeah.
play
A little
mandolin?
mandolin.
Get a little, yeah.
A little bit of everything, but nowhere near as talented as these four artists that we have today. So let's just stop talking about me and my musical abilities. The way that this is going to all play out, everyone, is we've got 4 delicious wines, 2 Chardonnays and 2 reds, a Cabernet Franc and a single vineyard Cabernet Sauvignon from one of our best vineyards in Atlas Peak. We're going to talk about the wine. We're going to taste the wine. And what we've done is we've sent these artists a bottle of each wine that they're going to be discussing and kind of incorporating why this wine kind of collaborates and meshes with the music that they're going to play. So this is going to be a lot of fun. Again, submit your questions or comments in the chat box, and we'll talk about some great wines, and we'll talk about music as well. And we're really looking forward to it. Robin and Michelle, thank you for this great idea to put this on. If you've been to our virtual tastings before, we love trivia, don't we, boss?
Yes,
We
do.
love trivia. And we love rewarding people for getting the trivia answers right. What we're going to do is we've got 4 trivia questions today. And this has been kind of contentious over the last few virtual tastings. We've had some fights, some battles. Some people have said, wait, I won, or no, they didn't win. So let's try to keep this as civil as possible. But what we're going to do is winner of each trivia question is going to get a inaugural release of one of our brand new single AVA wines. It's the Rutherford AVA Cabernet Sauvignon 2018, which we're going to dive into that vintage a little bit, is absolutely incredible. So each trivia question that we're going to announce before each wine, a bottle of one of our brand new releases, the 2018 Rutherford Cabernet Sauvignon. Boss, I mean, let's get right into it before we get into our first wine.
Well, the theme for the first 3 is going to be Thanksgiving. And so that's your first tip. I can see everybody right now getting on their computers.
Yeah.
Anyway, we all know that it was the first Thanksgiving dinner was by the Pilgrims did it at Plymouth, 1691. They didn't have any turkeys. They actually had 5 deer that the Indians had brought. And so the question is, what the Native Americans that joined or the Pilgrims for this Thanksgiving feast, what is the name of their tribe? And it has to be spelled correctly. Go!
Are they getting on the Google right now? What is the name of the tribe? I love that. I love that. All right. I don't see any answers coming in. I think people are Googling right now. But we will announce the winners at the end of our tasting today.
Well, Barrett, just to let everybody know, I had to make it a little tougher. Last week, they were doing it within seconds.
We're toughening it up a little bit. Repeat the question one more time for us.
The name of the Native American tribe who joined the Pilgrims at the first Thanksgiving dinner in 1621 at Plymouth.
Okay. Boom. There it is. Good luck, everyone. And let's get right into it. Our first wine. What a great wine to start this tasting off. Our 2017 Chardonnay. And again, I've said this all the time, and I'll say it again. If I had a nickel for how many times people have told me that they're not fans of Chardonnay and they come to Alpha Omega and they taste ours and they're in love. Henrik, why is our Chardonnay so delicious?
Well, we've had this question many times. I think a little bit of the secret behind the success of Alpha Omega Chardonnays is that we retain what we refer to as natural acidity. So acidity in a wine keeps it alive, it keeps it fresh, and it gives this crispness to the wine. So the sources that we're using for the Chardonnays is all picked from, say, colder climates, regions of Napa Valley. And what probably most of you know is that Napa is separated into 16 different sub-appellations. And out of those, Alpha Omega is currently sourcing from 12 of those. And our Chardonnay is literally sourced from 3 different sub-appellations. All of them cold climates, and I think that brings a certain elegance to our wines. We also use limited applications of French oak, not because we don't believe in the benefits of aging white wines in oak, but simply we want the fruitiness or the true varietal character of Chardonnay to stand out. A thing that we also, Matt and I, do a lot of investigation in is the use of different clones of Chardonnay. And I think Matt can talk a little bit about clonal material as well, because that's a very fascinating thing, right, Matt?
It is, absolutely. Some of the different clones that we work with in these different vineyards, they really give us the palette that we can paint, the blend with. And the traditional clones that you see out here in the Napa Valley, like 96 and 76, they bring us some beautiful, rich fruit characters, apple, melon, give us that great, rich mouthfeel that we all love in Chardonnay. But we also work with some more floral type clones, like Wente clone, where you get more of a floral lift. So we can take these individual clones, keep them separate, and then come to the blending table later in the vintage and really create these wines with a lot of intent. You know, Alpha Omega is known for big, powerful flavors, but also framing those flavors in a beautiful, balanced way. And I love Chardonnay and the Chardonnays we make here because they kind of parallel the reds in that they're very nice and powerful, a lot of flavor in the glass, but as Henrik mentioned, deftly balanced, great acidity, age very well, and pair very well with food at the table. So this 17 Chard that we're tasting first here, I think is showing it incredibly well. I think it's got all that primary fruit that we want in a youthful, young, fresh Chardonnay, but just starting to move into some of its more complex characters, I think. There's some nice saline kind of notes. There's some savory kind of cashew in there as well. And I think it's just really incredibly made and really great job, Henrik. Excellent wine.
It's to your point. So we actually, for you guys out there, we will you have a preview of our Chardonnay. So we like to actually let them age a little bit before we release them. So for those of you, unfortunately, that can't join us on site for a visit to the tasting room, at the tasting room, we're currently pouring the 2016 vintage. So this 17 is a little bit of a sneak peek of what to expect. And to Matt's point about clonal things, I think it's really fascinating from a winemaking perspective to see what these different clones give, because you can almost not guess the varietal on some of these wines or clones. One of them it's called clone 809. It's a muscady clone, and it almost tastes like the muscat grape. That we pick a little bit on the earlier side because we want to retain a little bit of that freshness, so we don't want to go into overripe. And I think that is really key to understanding the style of Alpha Omega wines, is also that we bring in Chardonnay a little bit on the earlier side. So we don't want a 15% alcohol bomb that really hits you. We want something that is supple and elegant, because the main purpose of crafting these wines is, as Matt mentioned, to pair well with food. And I think the marriage between food and wine is, or the perfect marriage, I should say, is where you actually enjoy the food, but then you switch to the wine, and then that is highlighted. And then you switch back to the food, and then that's highlighted. So it's not a competition, but it's a complement from both sides.
You know, we talked a little bit about clones, but I think one of the real interesting things that make this specific wine credible is where the fruit comes from. This specific bottling, the Chardonnay came from two different appellations. Jameson Ranch down in the southeast part of Napa, very cool, very marine influence from the bay. And the other component came from our own Drew Vineyard up in Mount Veeder. So mountain fruit, very exposed, windy conditions, a little cooler than the valley floor. And that is allowing us to really retain that acidity and still have nice ripe flavors all at the same time. So really the best of both worlds.
Yep. And on that note, up at the Drew Vineyard up on Mount Vida, 1,600 feet elevation, we have 2 plantings, 2 very small blocks, and we haven't really been able to find out much about the clonal material. But looking back at old records from the earliest plantings up there, we found that they derived from what is just referred to as Spring Mountain clones. And what that is, we're still guessing, but it's just mind-boggling aromatics that we get from that site. And not to ever advertise anything that we don't have in the glasses, but we do a single vineyard Chardonnay from that site, the Drew Vineyard, and I highly recommend it. So if you enjoy these wines today, the Chardonnays, you want to dig into that Drew Vineyard at some point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Absolutely. The Drew is unbelievable. And then we're very fortunate to have our single vineyard toy on after this wine. But, you know, we talk a lot of it, Henrik and Matt, about the sources of where we're farming fruit, where we're sourcing our fruit from for Chardonnay. But what about winemaking? What kind of winemaking process does this wine go through?
Well, so I will take a little credit and say when we started up to Alpha Omega back in 2006, then head winemaker and myself, our past was Newton Vineyard up on Spring Mountain. And I think Newton Vineyard was probably most famous for their unfined and unfiltered Chardonnay. So we had a couple of tricks up our sleeves already when we started Alpha Omega. And we have ever so finely or ever so slightly fine-tuned that winemaking technique. And I think one of the things that we experiment with is a combination of 2 fermentation styles. So not to get too geeky or too technical on this, but when you're fermenting white wines, you can ferment them in many different ways and use many different yeast strings. But the 2 main styles of fermentation is called a reductive style, where you deprive the yeast of oxygen, and then you have an oxidative style where you actually allow the yeast to have as much oxygen as possible. And I think the combination of those 2, plus the application of a small amount of French oak and stainless steel fermentation in tanks, that combination gives us a lot of different components to play with. So despite our production at Alpha Omega being very, very small of Chardonnay, for instance, the Toyon that you're going to taste next, we're talking a few hundred cases only. So, but I think the combination of different yeast strings, different vessels to ferment in, and one thing that I forgot to mention about French oak, we've actually switched over to the bigger size barrels, which instead of the regular size barrels holding approximately 300 bottles, we've actually stepped it up. So now we are fermenting and aging the wines in almost a double size barrels that holds just over 600 bottles. And I think that application of less oak to the wine, but same amount of oxygen going into the wine, that is one of the fascinating techniques. Am I right, Matt?
Absolutely. I think that Chardonnay specifically lends itself to complexity. And when you can make different components and blend them together later, you can create something that has so much character, so much diverse set of flavors. Henrik mentioned different barrels that we use, the different yeast strains. You know, we can actually choose different yeasts that can make the Chardonnay a little bit more tropical or make it a little bit more citrus and flinty. So we can really drive the juice in different directions. We also use a technique called malolactic fermentation, which is kind of a second fermentation. And it's not yeast, it's bacteria that actually soften the wine and give it richness and creaminess. And we like a good amount of that because we want the mouthfeel of the Chardonnay to be rich and really, really appealing. But we can use it selectively to retain some freshness, but also to drive some rich kind of creamy characters and build something that's complex and give ourselves a lot of components to work with at the blending table to make sure that we're putting something in the bottle that is really appealing, but also very balanced.
Absolutely. I mean, such a delicious wine, a lot of layers to it. I mean, I get citrus, stone fruit, and some tropical fruit,
Same.
but it's balanced. It's a great, well-balanced wine, well-made wine indeed, Henrik. Robin and Michelle, I don't think it's a secret that you guys like some good Chardonnay, huh?
We love Chardonnay, Barrett. I mean, we love red wine. We love all wine.
Yes.
We love all of our wines.
But the Chardonnays that our winemakers make here, I think, are exceptional.
They are fantastic. I think I probably am the number one customer of Alpha Omega Chardonnay. We want to look at numbers. Mr. Klein, I think I've bought more Chardonnay than you, but you probably bought more Era and Single Vineyards.
That with a lot of thanks goes to when they shut us down and said shelter in place, and we said ship us some Chardonnay.
Ship us some Chard. I love it. Michelle, Chardonnay, leading into our first artist here, and we're so excited to have Patrick here. And he's the director at SIP Napa. And real quick, I mean, what's the relationship that you have?
Well,
with Patrick?
I'll try to be real quick, but I would like to start with an invitation to Valerie and Jeff Gargiulo's winery for an event they host every year of songwriters. And it is so incredible to go and listen to these songwriters, to hear them tell the story about why they wrote this song. My grandmother, my girlfriend, my little sister, my first car, got bucked off a horse,
My yellow
had a red
truck.
Solo cup. But there's a lot of great wine songwriters out there, and then you'll see somebody else singing their song. So what's fun is to hear them sing a song that Blake Shelton strutted across the stage singing, or Jewel was singing, or Darius Rucker was singing. There's a lot of great talent that goes into a blank palette, and then just trying to create something from emotion, some poetry, which I'm sure we're all writing poetry right now. And then to put notes to it on the piano, on the guitar, on your banjo, for me, the spoons.
Plays a mean spoons.
Well, and so the experience that Robin and I had with songwriters was for Notes for Education. Notes for Education is an organization that enhances music education for school kids in Napa. And it was founded by a vintner and a songwriter, producer in Nashville. So then what we did is they decided to start a partnership with Blue Note in Nashville and for music education. I just want to throw out some numbers. Notes for Education has helped music education for kids in the tune of 1.8 million students. In Napa, we have donated 435 instruments to students, and we've only had 8 events. This culminated into a great relationship with Patrick Davis, who's the founder of SIP, Songwriters in Paradise. And he started one in Cape Town, and that's a great story, Patrick. I love your story on how you had everybody fly into town and let's do a jam session and let's raise some money. Then the Gargiulos and the Duncans were talking with Patrick Davis of SIP, and Patrick goes, I want to do a SIP Napa. And he and David Duncan talked about it for a while. Gargiulo and the Duncans reached out to us and said, would you be one of the founding wineries for SIP? So we've had a great SIP experience. Unfortunately, COVID shut down our concert this year, and we postponed it to April of next year, maybe postponed again. But I'm telling you, I want to support all of our songwriters. I want you to know that we're all here for you. We want to buy your music. We want to hear your music. We want to take care of you, because SIP coming to Napa takes care of music education for our kids in Napa. And there's nothing better than music is good for the soul. I like soul food. So Patrick Davis, I want to hand it off to you. Okay, my friend?
All right, hey guys. How's everybody?
Doing good, dude. Missing you.
I know, I miss y'all too. I was there last week. I missed it by 1 week. But
well, okay, I saw you last week, so I don't miss you that much.
It looks amazing out. It looks like it's a beautiful day out there.
Oh,
Yes,
it is. It is. It's so beautiful, Patrick. It's fall. The leaves are changing.
Yeah, no, it looks perfect.
And that's a
the
real
wine looks good.
That's my thing.
I've been drinking a lot of this. So
Yeah, you have.
very good, very good. And I'm drinking the red right now. I already drank another bottle of 2 bottles of Chardonnay the other night. So God bless y'all. Very, very good. But yeah, I'm very excited. Songwriters in Paradise. David Duncan and I became buddies about a decade ago, and he found out that I was doing the events in the Bahamas and in Cabo. And David and Jeff Gargiulo are both musicians. They're like Barrett. They're musicians. They're wine-loving musicians, and they asked me about bringing it to Napa, and Songwriters in Paradise. Now we come to Napa. We're very fortunate to be partners with you guys. Robin and Michelle are wonderful. You're wonderful to us. We do it with your friends, Rich and Leslie Frank at Frank Family. We do it at Brasswood, at Silver Oak, Gargiulo, and we stay at the Harvest Inn. So if you guys are interested in finding out more about that, it's songwritersinparadise.com. I'm lucky enough to bring my dear friend, super talented, and today we have myself. I've written songs. I've had about 70 or 80 songs recorded by artists from Michelle said, Darius Rucker, Jimmy Buffett, Lady Antebellum, Jewel, a lot of different people over the years. And then I perform as well. I'm currently in Charleston, South Carolina, because last night I played a show with my big band here at a theater, socially distanced. It's a 1,000-seat theater, and we only allowed 200 people in. So it was a special evening. We were on stage again, and that's why this is so great. And thank you all for the opportunity to do this. Playing music in any capacity, especially when there's incredible wine involved, it's always looked forward to. So today will be a wonderful day. Myself, Christian Bush from Sugarland, I think he's up next. Lauren Jenkins, who was my lady, who is actually in Time Magazine this week. So you guys go get Time Magazine. So that's a pretty big deal. And then my friend Channing Wilson. We'll all be playing for you. And I think we pre-recorded the music, guys, because we didn't want this to get messed up. Zoom has a tendency to make things get a little wonky with the frequencies and guitars. But I hope you guys will enjoy it. I actually had my dad here with me yesterday when I did this. So my old man's going to play. He's more of a whiskey drinker, but I'm trying to turn him on to some good wine. I'm going to ruin him. I'm giving him Alpha Omega first. He's never going to be able to go back now. So, but so here we go. What's up, guys? Patrick Davis here. I am in Charleston, South Carolina right now. I am playing a show tonight, a social show, limited capacity, masked for everyone except for those of us on stage. But anyways, I'm with my dad. So my dad right here, he has actually not been to Napa with me. He's not been to Napa, but say, hey, Dad. How you doing? But he loves wine. He's actually more of a bourbon drinker, but he likes some wine too. But we are pre-recording all of the music portions today for this event because we want to make sure it sounds good. Zoom sometimes has some trouble with the frequencies from guitars, so we just want to pre-record that. But we're live for the rest of this. But anyway, today I am talking about one of my favorite Alpha Omega wines. It is the Chardonnay, and this is the 2017 Chardonnay. Robin and Michelle, you did an amazing job with this, the entire team. It's delicious. It's crisp. It's a little, it's got just enough sweetness to it. And it made me think of this tune right here, which is a beautiful song that I wrote a few years back. It's actually, I've had it requested or played at a few different weddings over the years by folks. My cousin did it recently. I played it for him at his wedding. So, but anyway, this right here, it is, it's not too sweet. It's just sweet enough. This tune right here is called So Sweet. So the Chardonnay. Thanks, guys. And by the way, I didn't open this one yet. I drank 2 bottles of this with Lauren, who's behind the camera right here in Nashville the other night. So this one I'm savoring. So anyways, it's delicious. But here we go, Pops. You ready? He's gonna play with me, just in case you're wondering. He wasn't just holding the guitar. He's the guitar guru in the family. So all right, Dad, you ready? My life on cruise control. It's just rolling on. Thought I was doing all right. Then I saw your smile. Then you looked my way. Everything changed. Don't know how I got by, how I survived life living without you. Know now what I was missing, cause I wanted to kiss you since the day. Now everything ain't makes sense to me. I never knew that love could be so sweet. taking me to a place I'll never be. It gets better every breath I breathe. Let your love fall on me like rain. Yes, every day. Don't know how I got by, how I survived life living without you. I know now what I was missing, 'cause I wanted to kiss you since the day that I found you. Now everything makes sense to me. Yeah, I never knew that love would be so sweet. Every time we touch, every time we talk, every time I look in your eyes, I see how lucky I am. 'Cause I don't know how I got by, how I survived life living without you. I know now what I was missing, 'cause I wanted to kiss you since the day that I found you. Now everything makes sense to me. I never knew that love would be so sweet. Yeah, love would be so sweet. Oh, this Chardonnay from Alpha Omega is beautiful, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're having yourselves a good Saturday so far. I am looking forward to drinking so much today. Right now we're just playing some guitar. And my dad, I grew up in Camden, South Carolina. I live in Nashville, but my dad came down here to play with me tonight in Charleston with my Midnight Choir. That's what it's called. My dad plays the electric guitar, but right now he's playing his old Gibson. So my dad, give these folks at Alpha Omega a little guitar, a little ego. So sweet. So sweet. Oh, loving you is so sweet. It's so sweet. It's so sweet. You guys enjoyed Miss Lauren Jenkins, Mr. Christian Bush, and Mr. Channing Wilson today. It's a wonderful wine from Robin and Michelle and the Alpha Omega crew. I'll see you at Sip Napa, if not before. Thank you.
Yeah.
Nice.
Love it.
Way to go, Patrick, Daddy.
Yeah.
Good job, Dad.
Jam, huh?
Yeah, that's
Damn.
sweet. That made me tear up.
That was
Oh,
absolutely
my
incredible.
goodness.
Well done, guys. Well done, man. Your dad, that old Gibson sounds great, man. Love it.
He does all right.
Love it. Appreciate
He does
that.
all right.
Well played. Very well played. Cheers to you guys.
Patrick, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. You know I love you guys. Y'all are like family. That's the great thing about SIP. SIP has always been, Songwriters in Paradise has always been like family. But when I came to Napa and started, meeting all you guys, I recognized that you guys are family out there. You know, you're all pulling for each other. You know, if a fire happens, it affects all of you, not just the big dogs. It affects the little guys, middlemen, everybody's. So it is very family, and I'm very I feel very fortunate to be a part of it, or a small part of it now. So love you guys. So, and thank you for making the great wine, but also thank you for being great friends.
Thank you for your support. You guys have been great out there, all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was amazing. And yeah, we're going to keep going, my friends, but real quick, let's go back to our trivia question, boss, because we do have a winner. And unfortunately, Patrick, the answer wasn't Turkey Chi Tribe. But that was a great song. So, but boss, what was our answer to that first trivia question?
Well, it's the Wampanoag
Wampanoag Tribe.
Yep.
Wampanoag Tribe. And it looks like our winner is Jeff Maxwell for
All right.
for that first trivia question. Jeff, congratulations. we'll add that into that 16 To Kalon Magnum that you ordered last night, Jeff. We'll add that bottle in. But hey, we've got more trivia question coming up. That was absolutely incredible. And we've got a lot of people commenting how much they love this Chardonnay. Some great food pairings. Obviously, the cheese pairings that pair well with this. There's a lot of them. Let's see. Jen's got a crab dip with a sharp cheese with the Chardonnay. She's loving that. Christina Devon's got a white cheddar and salami that she's pairing with it. Some great food pairings. We've got to hook 'em from Texas here. Antipasto and cacio e pepe with the Chardonnay.
Nice.
Little burnt orange.
Love it, love it, love it. Cheers, everyone. But hey, I mean, we're gonna keep it going, and now, you know, we're gonna keep going up. Single vineyard Chardonnay coming up next. Alpha Omega produces 2 single vineyard Chardonnays from what we feel are some of the best vineyard sites in Napa Valley. And we talked a little bit about the Drew Vineyard being included in our signature Chardonnay that we enjoyed. But now we're going down to Carneros with this Toyon single vineyard Chardonnay, Henrik. And I mean, this is one of my favorite Chardonnays that we produce.
Well, so yeah, you may think that we are contradicting ourselves, but because Matt and I was just talking about all the different clones that we're working with and all the different sites that we're working with, and why do we then choose one site specifically and label it as a single vineyard Chardonnay? Well, I think the proof or the reasoning for that is that actually this vineyard, the Toyon vineyard down in Los Carneros, so on the western side, south of Napa, super cold climate. On that specific vineyard, we have 2 different clones to work with. So Matt mentioned a little bit before about the 2, say, famous clones of 76 and 96. And those are exactly the ones planted down at the Toyon vineyard. I think that is very special for Toyon is that it's actually a little bit of a hillside vineyard. And normally Carneros is a fairly flat region. It is influenced a little bit by mountains that is, of course, created by tectonic earth plates pushing in from the Pacific. So you're getting some subsoils in Carneros that is not anywhere else. And I think that, along with the clones that we're using, is a little bit of the secret behind the success that we have with the Toyon. Another thing that is, say, a little bit unique for us is that we don't necessarily go in on a vineyard and consider it a regular or a singular block. We go in specifically and say, well, do we want to pick these rows today? Do we want to pick them the morning side that has been exposed to sunlight up till noon? Do we want to pick that separately from, say, the afternoon side, which sees a lot of heat at up till 3 p.m.? So we go in and technically very precisely pick the vineyards. Mm-hmm. And I think that, along with, of course, the clones and the different yeast strengths that we're working with, is one of the major differences between the Chardonnay that Matt and I are crafting, and then what else is to be found in the valley. Mm-hmm. Matt, how do you like the Toyon vineyard?
Yeah, so you folks probably haven't seen me too much before because I'm relatively new here at Alpha Omega, and of course I was extremely excited to come up and work with these Cabernets because they are world class, and I've known Alpha Omega Cabernets for a long time, but I was really excited to have the opportunity to work with some of our Chardonnay sites as well. We talked about Drew Vineyard up on Mount Veeder being an incredible site for Chardonnay, but Toyon down in Carneros is extremely strong vineyard for Chard as well, and very different from what we're doing up on Mount Veeder. To me, the 18 Toyon is showing a lot of very interesting tropical notes on the nose, some pineapple, some papaya. But as Henrik mentioned, it's in such a cool spot that the acidity is bright and focused as well. This is a really fresh wine. I think this wine is going to age really nicely for a long time. It's really just in its baby stages of starting to show some of its full characters and get through some of that youthful primary fruit. Tasting this 18 and thinking about the recent fermentations of the 2020 that we just are wrapping up right now, this vineyard site has a lot of inherent character. The fruit, the way the clones pair with that site is very, very special, and you get this very unique tropical expression of the fruit, but also this beautiful citrus linear acidity. And I think it's showing incredible in the glass now, but I think if you have the patience to put this bottle down for a few years, you're really going to be rewarded, because there's a lot of complexity within this wine that is going to show itself over the next few years. And what I love about it, it's a great wine by itself, and it is also a really nice contrast to what we're doing in the Napa Chard, but also what we're doing up at Dreux. So very different flavors, all really correct, all really fresh and balanced, and really unique sites.
I mean, there's really no way I'm going to be able to lay this wine down and not drink it, Matt. Let's be real.
It would be tough.
Well,
It would be
especially
tough.
when I'm buying it all, you want to be able to get some, and you're like, just have to keep getting it and drinking it.
Exactly. I just have to go to your house and try to get some from you. It's absolutely delicious. We've got a really interesting question, and you were talking about this before, Matt and Henrik, you touched on it. Roxana is asking about clones and what kind of impact different clones add, not only to just the Chardonnay, but wine in general.
Mm-hmm. You know, Henrik, if you don't mind, the way that different clones ripen on the same site is very unique. And you can get ripe flavors with one clone, but in order to achieve those ripe flavors, the acidity maybe has really softened. In another clone, you may achieve those ripe flavors at a high acid point. Some clones, as Henrik mentioned, are very, very floral, like the Musqué clones, like the Wente clones, and some of them are more in that melon tropical range. So they're very, very unique, and the individual clones match differently with the soil and with the terroir of the site. So once you have the terroir and the soils, and you layer on top of it your different clones planted, that's how you achieve something very complex and something really interesting in the glass.
Love it.
Yeah, and just to follow up on that, I think it's again, it's fascinating what clones can do. But you also, I always catch myself in saying a white wine is actually one of the most difficult wines to make, because it's brutally honest when you're processing the juice.
Mm-hmm.
A red wine is a little bit more forgiving. You can hide a little bit of things in there. Say if your pH is maybe slightly off, or you have some acidity that sticks out.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different animal when you're dealing with Chardonnay. It's because if you don't treat it with the utmost respect, then it will show oxidation. It will turn brown during fermentation. It's going to be flabby and flat if you don't handle the natural acidity correctly, and so on. So I think that's one of the keys to being a good winemaker. That is, if you can make a good white wine. And we're not, Matt or I, we don't have egos, and we're not going to pat ourselves on the shoulder and say we are God's gift to humanity. But I think we both agree that we take very great pride in turning out these fresh and elegant white wines.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. You know, we are both of the philosophy that great wines are made in the vineyard. And these Chardonnays, as Henrik mentioned, all of these flavors are driven from the vineyard site and the fantastic viticulture that is performed out there. You know, I think one of the real strengths of Alpha Omega is we get fruit from the absolute best sites in Napa. And when we talk about Chard, it's no different. We're looking for the cool sites. We're looking for the vineyards that are expressing Chardonnay in a balanced vine, so we can get the flavors we're looking for. You know, to Henrik's credit, he spends a lot of time in the vineyard close to harvest, making sure that the pick is exactly when we want it, when we're getting ripe, expressive flavors, but we've still got that nice core of acidity. And I think these wines really reflect that. They're picked at the absolute perfect time of the vintage when the fruit is clean and fresh and vibrant. And there's still a lot of aromatic complexity and fantastic flavors in the wine. So, the site, the pick decision, really, really important in high level white winemaking. And I think that both of these Chardonnays reflect that.
Yeah, I mean, you can really taste the amount of work that goes into a wine like this, not only from in the vineyard, but in the cellar as well. Henrik?
Well, so I've always been fascinated myself by sparkling winemakers, because I think sparkling winemakers, they actually have to bring in the grapes when they are not really ripe. So you have to look a couple of months ahead in the process. And it's kind of the same for us when we're talking about harvesting Chardonnay, because to Matt's point about the malolactic fermentation, it's a process that happens in the wine where you transform the malic acid into lactic acid. So it doesn't really change your pH balance or the acidity in the wines. It just, it's a perspective that the wines are going to taste a little bit softer at the ends or at the edges. And that is something that you as a winemaker have to understand. And when you go out in the vineyards and when you're tasting the grapes, it's not necessarily just the amount of sugar or the ripeness that you need to taste for. It's also I often say or call it structure or complexity in the grapes. But once you get that understanding of tasting in the vineyards, then I think you have a better chance of succeeding when you bring in the grapes to the winery and then transform them into wine. So it's again, to my point that I mentioned before, I think white wine, to really craft a good white wine, that actually takes some skills. And I mean, Matt and I, we shoot a lot of ideas off each other when we come to harvest, and I think that for the purpose of really, really fine tuning where our Chardonnay ends up after fermentation.
We've got a question here from Jim Amos. He's got a question about ageability on Chardonnays. Do Chardonnays get better with age? And how long do you think we could save maybe these two Chardonnays as an example in the cellar? I say drink them now, but what do you guys think?
So it's for me, it's all depends on what type of or what you prefer in a wine. So I have worked with different wineries over here where wines, especially the Newton wines, easily could last for 10, 15 years. Barrett and I recently shared 2013 Alpha Omega Reserve Chardonnay, which is our top tier, 50 cases or so produced every year. That 2013 vintage, now with 7 years of age, stunning
I'm still
wine.
dreaming about that wine, by the way.
That was mind-boggling good, and it was holding up yeah. So I think, to John, to answer your questions, I think depending a little bit on vintage, the 17 vintage, I see that as on a trajectory to become a little bit more accessible. So I would drink the 17 vintage, where I would still age the 18s for, it could probably last up to 20 years. Matt, what's your take on these vintages?
Yeah, well, I'm a little biased because I really like, my wife and I really like to drink wines when they're all the way open, showing all of their character. So we have the habit of putting wines down and very rarely drink wines that are under 5 years old. White wines like this, I feel like once that primary fresh fruit blows off a little bit, you start to move into some of the really unique herbaceous and mineral characters that you just can't detect when the wine is too fresh and youthful. So for me, this 17 is just moving into its really good drinking window, just starting to reveal those secondary, tertiary characters. And I think that, and for my palate, this wine is going to drink well for another 10 years. But I like the way wines age like that. The Toyon, for me, I feel is still very, very youthful. All that tropical fruit is going to take years to blow off to reveal some of the more complex soil-driven characters in the wine. So I'm looking forward to getting back into this one maybe in 5-7 years from now, because I think it's got the acidity of the last. It's got so much great flavor and fruit character to it. I think it's going to hold up really, really well in the long term.
Matt, I think you just earned yourself a permanent spot on this segment, because with Barrett, it's always chill it and kill it. And I think you and I agree, Matt, that wines need to have taken off the edges a little bit, and maturity definitely helps the complexity of a wine. So.
Absolutely, but I've also found myself in situations where I couldn't wait either. So I know how it feels to be anxious and to want to get into these fantastic bottles, because you see them on the shelf and it's hard to resist.
I'm clearly way more impatient than the two of you, and I'm not going to argue with our winemakers at all on this. But that's great insight. Really, really appreciate that. Now, before I introduce our next artist, boss, I think I skipped a trivia spot here. We've got another trivia question for everyone, don't we?
We do.
What's our second trivia question?
This is a little bit of a fun one. As we all know, well, you might not know this, but the first Thanksgiving actually lasted 3 days. They didn't do it just on one day. But now traditionally it's just one day, the fourth Thursday of November. But the day after is now been referred to as Black Friday. And so this question relates to that. And it's about a trade profession. There is one trade profession that annually has the best day of the year. So the question is, what is the name of this trade profession that on Black Friday is their most outstanding monetary day of the year?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Black Friday.
I like that. The day after Thanksgiving, which trade profession has the best day of the year?
Yep.
This is a good one.
This is a good one. You're going to have to get creative here with this one, friends. We're getting some answers coming in now, but you're going to have to be more creative than these.
Now I get it. I read it earlier, but now I get it.
This is going to take a little bit of thought as to what
right
happens on Thanksgiving and what you're doing and then the day after. This is going to be clever. Let's see if anyone gets this. Oh my gosh, I think someone just got it.
Ooh,
No.
They did?
I think it's Jeff Maxwell just got this again.
And
Plumbers.
they are
Plumbers.
biggest day of the year.
All the cooking, the cleaning, the food getting shoved down, your plumbing,
Roto-Rooter has
the bathrooms,
they do well.
all the guests.
Jeff Maxwell, cleaning house.
Mhm.
Wow. Jeff,
my
well
goodness.
played. That's
Well
a
done.
good one. That's
Well
a good one.
done.
I love that one.
Quick
Thank
on the
you.
buzzer, that guy.
He's good. He was on it. Right on. Congratulations, Jeff. We got more trivia questions, my
The
friend.
next one's going to be a little tougher.
Next one's gonna be tough.
So get ready.
All right. Well, really excited about this next artist, and to tie this in with this Toyon Chardonnay. I mean, a wine that, as you said, Matt, just has kind of a lot of layers to it: citrus fruit, stone fruit, tropical fruit, and I think that describes our next artist very well. Coming to us from Atlanta, Georgia, Grammy Award-winning singer, songwriter, and producer. He's one half of the platinum-selling country duo Sugarland, and his albums have sold 22 million copies worldwide. Incredibly excited to have Christian Busch here with us today. Christian, how are you?
I'm doing well. How is everybody out there? It looks like an amazing sky behind you.
Go Dogs!
Oh my gosh. If these people can quit, coughing on each other, they can play more football.
Oh my goodness! I'm not going to go anywhere with that, but I do want to let you know that Napa has approved, and they're building the first Chick-fil-A in downtown Napa, and I couldn't be happier. I'm going to look like that dairy cow on the billboard sign.
Oh my gosh. Well, you're going to have to get used to what you do on Sundays. I'm telling you now.
True.
That's why I left Georgia, just so I didn't have to cry on Sundays when I post. After church, of course.
Of course. This is a really destructively good wine, by the way. I'm sure you guys are. I mean, I don't really drink a Chardonnay ever. And now I'm like bouncing up and down about it. And so I blame you.
Oh.
We've heard that before, Christian. We've gotten that a lot. The Chardonnay here is absolutely incredible, and really excited to have you on, my man, and listen to what you got for us.
Thank you. One of the joys that I have performing with you today is the fact that I exist in not just one band, but like 4 different bands. And typically, it's the way I survive creating so much. I write a lot, and as an artist, you can only release 10 or 12 songs a year. The internet's changed that a little bit, but as a result, I've rebooted my 90s band, Billy Pilgrim, and started a new band a couple of years ago based on my love for the moment at late 1969, early 1970 of the Grateful Dead. And it was a fun question we asked ourselves, which was, it was a great record we loved called American Beauty, and they made it so fast. And as artists, we know that we can't put all the songs on the records that we want to. And as a result, asked ourselves, what were the 5 or 6 songs that didn't make it on to American Beauty? And it was just a fiction that we made up in our heads as an inspiration to start a band. And you get to have the very first song from the answer to that question today. We performed it for you yesterday, and so that I could drink the wine, because I don't drink while I play. So I will drink while you listen.
Hello to everyone at Alpha Omega. I'm Christian Bush, and I'm here with Benji and Brandon, my friends in Darkwater. And I wanted you to know how much that I've enjoyed the Toyon Vineyard Chardonnay. This wine makes me think of something pop and bubbly, yet still cerebral. Like this song. Here we go. Come out and play in the sunshine. Come out, if you're living in bad times. Thank you all very much.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah. That's my jam, Jerry Garcia.
You know, it's like this wine. You know, it's gonna take a while. It'll grow on you, and then it'll be awesome as long as you just hold off for a couple years.
I love it. I love it.
I like
Th-
that.
Thank you much for joining us and being a part of the Songwriters in Paradise. The songwriters are, you know, our lyricists, our poets, our Pablo Neruda. You guys are just rocking our soul. We thank you so, especially during these times, to hear your music and hear your inspiration and like Barrett said, to feel your jam. My heart was moving.
Yeah, I'm into it. I'm into that.
Thank y'all
That was
so much.
awesome.
Thank you for the
Thank you
wine and
Cheers.
Cheers.
the COVID
Cheers,
relief
Chris.
package there. It was so good.
You bet.
Full relief package. I like that. Cheers, Christian. Appreciate it, my man. And, you know, hey, I got to say, I did preface this tasting with, you know, the trivia can get people kind of rowdy. It's starting to get people a little angry here that Jeff Maxwell has won the first two trivia questions. Some people are making some harsh accusations.
Oh,
here. Yeah.
It's fixed. It's fixed.
and I got
it's not fixed.
And I got Jeff Maxwell saying, "Hey, I'm ready for the other two questions. Let's go." Jeff wants to clean house, and I hope you all are ready for another. Let's get another trivia right
wanna
away.
do one?
Let's do number-
Did you tell everybody that Jeff also was on Jeopardy and won 10 years in a row? Maybe that's the problem. You got to hit the button faster.
Jeff's a ringer. Jeff's a ringer.
Well, he's going to have problems with this one.
Uh-oh. Okay.
Okay, here we go on this one. A little bit of history. You know, the fact that Thanksgiving is a national holiday now, it wasn't always the case. It was a little bit controversial. And in fact, back in the day with when George Washington, they had to do it on an annual basis. It even got to the point with Thomas Jefferson, who would not allow it to be a holiday because he thought it violated the First Amendment, separation of church and state. And I kind of thought, Thomas, that's a little fuzzy thinking. I didn't know it was a religious holiday, but in any event, you're not around so to argue with about it. So in any event, then it wasn't until Abraham Lincoln in 1863 that they actually made it a national holiday, so a long period of time. And then the date wasn't always certain. It went a little bit back and forth, and it wasn't until that was the Civil War, and it wasn't until World War II when Franklin Delano Roosevelt, FDR, made it the fourth Thursday of every November. So, but the question we're going to get back to, there is a mother of Thanksgiving, and that was a lady. Her name was Sarah Hale, and Sarah, she was the one that kept prodding Abraham Lincoln to make this a national holiday. So Sarah, they call her the mother of Thanksgiving. But the question about Sarah Hale is, what other famous song did she write? What famous song did Sarah Hale write?
Right on.
Whoa.
I don't
Those are
know.
Google keywords
I
right
don't
there,
know.
honey. You made it too easy.
Oh, that's true. Well, you spell Hale, H-A-I-L.
Don't know. Just spell the last name.
Wait,
H-A-L-E.
we got hit really quick on this one,
No.
and it's not Jeff Maxwell.
Oh, good.
It's not Jeff Maxwell.
And the name of the song? Mary Had a Little Lamb.
There we go.
Mary had a
Wow.
little lamb.
But most
Mary had a
importantly, to
little
tell
lamb,
the
fleece as
history.
white as snow.
The history of Thanksgiving. Yeah, that's kind of fun. It's good. But it is a national holiday now. It'll always be on the fourth Thursday of November.
Love it. Love it. That
That's
was a good one. That
incredible.
was
That's
a good
a
one. I
good
like the history
one.
behind
Good
that
trivia.
too. Thanks, Robin. And I think this is going to calm everybody down. We're not going to have any more accusations about Jeff Maxwell here. Winner Amanda Sabia. I hope I pronounced that right. Congratulations, Amanda.
Woo!
That's a
All
bottle.
right.
Bottle of 2018, brand new release, brand new wine for Alpha Omega, our single AVA series, Rutherford Cabernet Sauvignon. That's huge. Congratulations, Amanda. Sorry, Jeff, you're not going to clean house this time, but very nice of you to let someone else win. But I mean, guys, these two whites, absolutely delicious. Two incredible Chardonnays, and the artist performances around those wines were spectacular. I'm really looking forward to these two reds. And this is a really unique wine. This is a wine that we produce very small amounts of. It typically goes out to our wine club members, and there's really not a lot left once it gets released. And it's our Cabernet Franc, our 2018 Cabernet Franc. Henrik and Matt, really excited about this wine. And we've been talking a little bit about Cab Franc lately, Henrik, and how amazing the variety is. And we're in this 2018 vintage. Looking forward to it. Let's dive into it.
So yeah, I think Cabernet Franc has played second role in a couple of over the last many years, playing second role to Cabernet Sauvignon in Napa. I think if there's one place that Cabernet Sauvignon would want to grow, it would definitely be in Napa. But let's not overlook Cabernet Franc. So often a blend in Bordeaux wines, we have very little of it planted in Napa. A fun fact here is that it actually demands higher prices in Napa than Cabernet Sauvignon by quite a margin. So average tonnage price for Cabernet Franc, not to get into too many statistics, is $9,500 for a ton of grapes, Cabernet Franc, versus $7,900 and change for Cabernet Sauvignon. So definitely high-priced grape. And I think from a winemaking perspective, it really is an intriguing varietal to work with. As you probably can smell on the wine, there's something that draws you back for a second or even a third sniff, and you're like, what is it? Mm-hmm. And I think that's what Matt and I get when we're smelling tanks or barrels fermenting. You get that haunting thing of spices. It's peppery. There's a greenness to it. Mm-hmm. It's a varietal that is a little wild and requires some taming down. And I think that's one of my personal favorites when I'm working with Cabernet Franc. And of course, Alpha Omega, we source from like I mentioned previously, we source from a lot of appellations in Napa. And we have the luxury of actually sourcing our Cabernet Franc from many of these different sub-appellations. And that gives a unique expression from each of the sites that we're working with. So Cabernet Franc from, say, Coombsville does not necessarily taste like Cabernet Franc from St. Helena, two opposites part of Napa Valley. And I think that's, to me, it's almost like a chef in a kitchen. You have so many different ingredients on the shelf. It's like, I often compare Cabernet Franc to pepper. So you have different types of pepper. You have white pepper, you have black pepper, green pepper, pink peppers. They're all part of the pepper family, but they're completely different when you taste them. And I don't know about you, Matt, but I do know about you because you and I have the biggest smiles when we go out and smell these fermenting wines.
Mm-hmm. I absolutely love Cabernet Franc. I started to fall in love with it as a right bank of Bordeaux. It's a bigger part of the blends on the right bank. And what I love about Cab Franc is, as Henrik says, it's got nuances that are different from Cabernet Sauvignon. I think Cab Sauv can have some really interesting flashy fruit, and the green notes are really appealing. Whereas Cab Franc, it has a little bit more earth and herb characters for me. It shows the terroir, it shows the soil in a brooding way that it's not as obvious as Cab Sauv. And I think Henrik mentioning it just pulls you back for another look because you can't quite wrap your head around it with just one smell. It's not as forward as Cab Sauvignon. This wine specifically, I'm very, very impressed with how much nuance there is in the wine. To me, there's a great earth contribution. The herbaceousness is balanced in a way that you will not see in Cab Sauvignon. And on the nose, it almost comes across like a leaner style of wine. But when you look at the wine and you taste the wine, you're immediately impressed by the density. This wine is jam-packed with color, with flavor. The tannins are full in the mouth, and it's really, really a full wine, but it's got the complexity of aroma on the nose, and I think it's showing really well. I love Cab Franc, and I really love this example of it.
And guys, I mean, in talking about Cabernet Franc, in the characteristics, I mean, Matt, you're right. Just the nose on this is absolutely incredible. But the vintage, the 2018 vintage, we have to talk about a little bit. I mean, Henrik, you said at the very beginning of the year, might be the best vintage you've ever worked with in Napa. And recently, we've been honored with our first 100-point score with our single vineyard Beckstoffer To Kalon Cabernet Sauvignon. Cheers to you guys. Cheers to you, Robert and
Cheers.
Michelle.
Cheers, guys. This is
Wow.
just amazing.
Yeah.
I
And-
mean, I'm giving thanks to you guys for making these great wines.
Whole team.
But as we start to release these 2018s that we've been waiting for, the vintage, I mean, let's talk about 2018 and why that was such a special vintage for us here.
So just before we delve into the 18 vintage and the glories of that, just to go back to the Cabernet Sauvignon versus Cabernet Franc. So maybe not known to many people, but Cabernet Sauvignon is actually a split between Cabernet Franc and Sauvignon Blanc. So so Cabernet Sauvignon, despite it being the king in Napa, it's actually it's the, I would say it's the cousin of Cabernet Franc. So we definitely need to pay respect to Cabernet Franc. So on the 2018 vintage, I'm gonna sound like a broken record here because I've tutored this vintage from the get-go, and this past vintage, the 2020, was my 21st vintage in Napa Valley. Prior to that, I was working in Bordeaux, but in Napa, out of the 21 vintages I've worked with, I have never come across anything as good and as solid as 2018. That's of course my perspective. Take it for what it is, but I think generally the consensus now, as people start to really taste these wines, and as more wineries release them, it's a mind-boggling good vintage. It has all the right proportions. It has all the right elements. So normally when you're looking at vintages from a winemaking perspective, you're talking about fruit as one thing, you're talking about structure or complexity as another, you're talking about acid balance as a third. So many different components makes the solid foundation of the wine. And I think in 18, it's just everything is there, and it's in the right proportions. And which brings me to a key word that I always bring up when people ask me about wines, it's balance. So in 18, you have balance. And I think that is one of the really key elements for a good vintage is once you have balance, you can drink it from day one, and you can also age it for 30, 40, 50 years easily. So it's a privilege to work with an 18 vintage where everything is just comes in so perfect. And of course, I mean, often now we are talking about scores and so on. I think there's a tendency for the winemakers maybe to get too much unfair glory of that. So for me, it's all about a team. And of course, Matt sitting here next to me, we couldn't make these wines if it was just me. It's all about team, and that trickles down to beginning in the vineyard with our vineyard. We have our own vineyard management team. So once you have the entire process covered with your own team, then it's easier. And yeah, 18, I mean, I've tutored it from the get-go, and I think it's one of the vintages where you need to take out a second mortgage on your house or back up the truck, because
Back up the pickup truck.
it's going to be a vintage
Back it
where
up.
you are going to say, I did not buy enough of it down the line. So Matt?
Yeah, 2018, definitely one for the record books. It was a moderate growing year with regards to heat spikes, really a warm year, but not any of the heat spikes that might damage the fruit or challenge the vine too much. A lot of sunshine, obviously. We always get great sunshine here in the Napa Valley. We had good rain the previous winter, so the vines were in a nice, healthy state, and really just everything coming together in a perfect fashion in 18. And you know, the fruit is one thing. Obviously, during fermentation, during harvest, there's a lot of things happening, and for us to be able to craft these wines and keep close eye on them in our very small lot, high-end fermentation style, it's a real challenge. You know, this wine here is a combination of barrel fermentations. And for those Alpha Omega fans out there, you know we love barrel fermentations. We like to pop the heads off and ferment that fruit right in the barrel. That gives us an expression of the fruit that you just can't find when you don't use that technique. You draw aromatics and structure out of the barrel. The way it combines with the softening and the extraction of the fruit, you just can't get it in any other way. This wine is fantastic because it has a combination of the barrel ferment and some tank ferment in it. The tank ferment actually gives you a little bit more focus on the fruit, a little bit more firm structure. You know, that warm barrel ferment really kind of melts those tannins and makes something really luxurious. To me, I love this wine because it really does show the best of both worlds. It has that soft, approachable tannin from the barrel fermentation. Some of those wild oak notes are driven right down into the structure of the wine. But it has the freshness and the cohesion that the tank ferment brings to it. I think it gives us a very fruit-forward wine, but as I mentioned before, I think the complexity in some of the herbaceous and herbal characters here and the earth tones just makes it something complex, and an incredible job both in the vineyard through harvest and fermentation. But also remember, we've got to take care of these wines in barrel for close to 2 years before we bring them up and getting ready for bottling. So it takes meticulous attention to every single barrel in this winery, and keeping our nose in the glass, our cellar team maintaining these wines and taking the ultimate care of them, topping barrels regularly, keeping the cellar clean, keeping the barrels clean. It's, as Henrik mentioned, it's a team effort from beginning to end. And when you see these wines come together, in a way, they're all perfect to some degree. I know we got the 100-point score on the To Kalon, but to me, the goal of some of these wines is absolutely achieved. I mean, it is absolutely perfect with what we're trying to show the customer in the glass and the way we express this fruit. So amazing team effort combined with an incredible vintage. I mean, we're seeing it here. These wines are phenomenal.
A question that is often asked when we're sitting down for these segments is serving temperature. So we're sitting outside, as you can see, gorgeous backdrop, looking
Thank you, Henrik.
looking at Pritchard Hill. But serving temperature, I mean, for whites, the two whites we had, I would go a little bit on the higher side. So I would probably serve those at around 55 degrees. I would actually also start on the 18 vintage, serving it a little bit on the colder side to preserve that fruit. And as it heats up in the glass, I think you're gonna get that expression of the vintage a little bit more. So yeah, that was just something that I took off your comments, Matt.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Like Henrik, I love to see wines evolve, and that means opening them over time and letting them age and get more complex. But as Henrik mentioned, it's fun to see the wine evolve in the glass. And when you've got a great wine, it changes over time. And I think it also speaks to the techniques that we use. You know, we're not a big manufacturing facility here, moving the wine around and using high technology. We actually craft these wines in a very traditional way. And when you do that, you just retain more flavor and aroma in the wine. And the wine has complexity as it ages, as it opens up in the glass, as it moves from a cooler temperature to a warmer temperature. You go back to that wine and find something different almost every time, or the way that the different aromas are expressed in the glass. So this wine for me, it has so much different characters to it. Each time I go there, something else unique highlights itself. Just a wonderful thing to enjoy over time.
Sweet music to my ears. And speaking about music, Berit, let's get some music, right?
I mean, we're getting some great comments on this wine. One pairing I want to mention: Mayan cocoa coffee rubbed cheese and chorizo.
Wow.
Wow.
Hot diggity dog, that sounds delicious.
Jeez, getting
The
starving.
18s are incredible. Again, this Cabernet Franc, we sell out of this very quickly, gets released for our wine club, and then it goes. So stock up on this one, and it's going to hold nicely in the cellar. Michelle, Cabernet Franc, kind of an underappreciated variety. Let's talk about our artist coming up.
That has nothing to do with Lauren. Lauren loves Cabernet Franc. She's so appreciated. She is not only beautiful, she's smart. She's a great vocalist. She's a great songwriter, and she's a good person. We've had the blessing of having Patrick and Lauren with us at our house in Tahoe, sitting around jamming with some of our neighbors. And I've so enjoyed the many years of friendship we've had with Patrick and Lauren. And, I'm giving thanks to the seasons where God brings people into your life is fabulous. I also want to do a shout out to Rich and Leslie Frank, two of our best friends who also just joined the SIP family with us, the Gargiulos, the Duncans, as vintners. But I want Patrick because, I think he and Lauren are really tight, but I'm gonna let him embellish. But I just want to say, and I've got my granny glasses on. Lauren was named an artist to watch by the New York Times, Billboard, Rolling Stone, Pandora. She made her Today Show debut as Elvis Duran's Artist of the Month. She's an accomplished actress and filmmaker and music producer and songwriter, but I want Patrick to pop back in unplanned because I know his heart is so warm when she's singing. So I want to hear what you have to say, Patrick.
Well, Lauren Jenkins, I actually met Miss Lauren Jenkins. She was playing at the airport in Nashville about 4 years ago. And it was right before, I guess, her record deal and stuff started happening. And I was, this beautiful girl was singing these beautiful songs, and I was smitten. And so I tracked her down on Instagram, folks. That's how it works. And she came out and did a show with me on the road, and I talked her into going on a few dates with me. So we've been dating now for about 3 years, I guess. And she's like a fine wine, boys and girls. She's a beautiful, and she's very talented. And yes, she has been on the Today Show, and she's toured all over the world. She, unfortunately, with COVID, a lot of her touring markets, the big markets, a lot of them are in Europe. And right now we can't go there, of course. We can barely go to California, but we definitely can't go to Europe. So it's hopefully 21 is going to be a lot better. And she also, I mentioned it earlier, but this week, Time Magazine did a feature on Lauren this week. She probably won't brag on it, but I will. They did a feature on her about the pandemic and how the artist is affecting artists. And so if you guys check out Time Magazine online, or you can go get it at your local, I guess, I don't know, wherever they sell Time Magazine these days, drugstores, things like that. But yeah, so she's extremely talented. I'm so happy she's here. And we've been to Napa many times, and we did go to Tahoe and had a wonderful time with Robin and Michelle. We went and had some barbecue, drank some Alpha Omega, went out on the boat. It was quite an experience. So thank you guys very much for that. And I think Lauren is actually, we're in Charleston. She's here with me, but my little sister's in town right now as well. And they went across town. So she's going to chime in from another friend's house right now. We're going to meet up because this is my birthday this weekend. So we're going to dinner tonight. And I'm taking this bottle of Alpha Omega to dinner. So there you go. So, but yeah, so Lauren Jenkins is about to, I believe she's about to get, oh, look, Kelly over here just posted your country music feature in Time Magazine. Good job, Kelly, on top of it. All right, but anyway, Lauren, are you out there? You there? Maybe? I'm pretty sure she is. Hey, baby.
Hey, I've been here.
Okay, I didn't know. I can't see where you are.
That's okay. It's because we have so many people joining us, which is awesome. I was scrolling through, and it's so cool to see everybody enjoying these wines in their different kitchens, and looks like a couple living rooms. So, hey, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Hey, baby.
Hey, Lauren.
Say hey.
Hi. So this wine, you guys have totally you've ruined me, because my palate now knows what good wine tastes like. And to be honest, I didn't know there was such a thing as Cab Franc until I came out to Napa and got to meet you guys and got to try the Cab Franc. And now I'm completely ruined. I don't think I can drink bad wine ever again.
Nope. Cab Franc is her favorite. Cab Franc is her favorite of all the varietals. She's a big fan, so always. So thank you guys for that.
Yeah, so thank you for that amazing, amazing wine. And yes, I'm not drinking it now. It's very difficult not to, but we are going to drink it tonight to celebrate Patrick's belated birthday. So thank you for the celebratory wine. It's delicious.
Thanks, baby. All right, so what are you gonna? You guys, what song are you doing, baby? Did you do an intro? I can't remember.
Yes, I did.
Maybe.
I did. I did. Yeah. So this one. Oh, here we go. We got the video. I'll let me tell you about the song, and then I can tell you more about it after.
Hey everybody, Lauren Jenkins here. Thank you so much for having me, Alpha Omega, and thank you for this amazing bottle of Cab Franc. It's gone. We drank it all because it is that good. I don't know about you guys, but this year I've spent more time at home than probably the last, I don't know, decade combined. Normally I'm out on the road, but obviously this year is different. And I've actually enjoyed parts of it. I've really enjoyed spending more time in my kitchen, surprisingly. And I think it's because I figured out the secret ingredients to having a good time. And the first ingredient is good music, always. The second ingredient is good wine, like the Cab Franc. And the third ingredient, which I highly recommend you try if you have not tried it yet, is to dance in your kitchen. So if you guys want to raise a glass, dance in your kitchen right now to this song if you want to. If not, maybe you can once I release it. It'll be on my upcoming record. So the song is called Dance in the Kitchen, and it pairs really well with the Cab Franc. Lock all the doors and turn down the lights. Leave the pot on the stove. We don't need it tonight. The trouble's out there. We can leave them behind. Just take me by the hand and remind me of mine. And put an old record on and turn it up loud. With your hands on my waist and your kiss on my mouth. And know there ain't nothing missing. The time keep on ticking. Let the world keep on spinning while we're dancing in the kitchen. And we'll play it again. If once ain't enough, yeah, we'll go all night until the sun comes back up. So put an old record on and turn it up loud. With your hands on my waist and your kiss on my mouth. And know there ain't nothing missing. The time keep on Let the world keep on spinning while we're dancing in the kitchen. Let the world keep on spinning while we drink good wine and we dance in the kitchen. Thank you so much, Alpha Omega. Cheers, everyone. I hope you're having a great time. Maybe after this concert. Cheers.
Yeah.
Hey! Oh my gosh. Shout out to the O'Flaherty clan, I think it was, and Chris, and there were a few people dancing in their kitchens. That was so cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
I love it. I love it.
That's awesome.
Oh,
That was beautiful, Lauren. Thank you so much.
Thank
Amazing.
you, Lauren. Woo!
thank you so much for having me, and thank you for making great wine, and also for really, being very clever and thinking up ways for us to feel more connected. For me, this is the highlight of my day for sure, just watching everybody safely together, drinking wine, dancing in the kitchen, hearing my friends play. So thank you for providing this opportunity. It means a lot.
Good job.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Lauren
That
Jenkins.
was amazing. That was beautiful. Hey, Patrick, you're a lucky man. You're going out to dinner with that lovely lady tonight.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Happy
Thank
birthday, my man. Lauren, that was incredible. Thank you. Cabernet Franc, absolutely delicious. But we're going to finish off big here with a single vineyard Cabernet Sauvignon
Really?
from our Cortez vineyard. But
Oh.
before, we promised 4 trivia questions, right?
Oh, final.
Final. Let's do one more trivia question.
Okay, this is a good one. I'm gonna shift from the Thanksgiving theme we had, and go to songwriters. And this one's kind of dear to my heart because this songwriter. See this?
Don't give it away.
I used to have, when I had dark hair when I used to buy I have every one of his vinyl albums, and I'm not going to give it away, but it's kind of special. It'll probably go pretty quick, but this is you're going to get the question is, and you got to have his full name. It's a he. That's one hint. You got 50% right so far. So anyway, who wrote and sang Mr. Bojangles?
Mr. Bojangles.
Dance.
Ooh, let's see. Who wrote Mr. Bojangles? Written in 68?
No more hints.
Oh,
No hints.
Probably more.
If you
Probably
can't-
Oh.
later than that.
Oh, they already came in.
They got it.
They came in. Oh. What?
We got a winner.
We got. This is gonna have to go to the judges' table.
Do I need
here.
to come
No,
over
we
and look?
need the full
Tiebreaker?
name.
Full name.
Ooh.
This is tough. Well,
Nope. Mm-mm.
we need full name, huh?
Full name.
Yeah.
We got it
You
here.
know
We
what the
had
answer is.
someone get really close, but not get the full name, and then the next person down got the full name.
Sorry.
Well, what would Alex Trebek do? Sorry.
Oh, what? Yeah.
You gotta
Oh,
have.
God rest his soul, by the way. Oh, Alex passed.
Cheers to
yeah.
Alex.
Yeah.
Cheers to Alex.
Yeah, always one
And we're
Alex.
going to do a cheers to this one, too.
Yeah.
So the winner is,
What's
the
the
answer
do we
is,
have-
We got a winner. We got a
Yeah.
winner here. And what's
It's,
our answer?
Well, can I preface it before you get the
it's
answer?
my deal. This is not your deal.
Well, we picked this trivia out together because his son was going to be performing with us today. And unfortunately, his father recently passed. And it's an honor to know his son. It's an honor that he brought his father to Alpha Omega to taste some wines not too long ago. And unfortunately, we weren't here. But we're gonna hang out with him in heaven.
Yep.
So what's the answer, Robin?
Jerry Jeff Walker.
His
Mr.
son is
Bojangles.
Django.
Django. Yeah.
We love Django. So
I'm not kidding. I got every one of his
all
albums.
his vinyls.
Now, some were a little scratched because I played them so many times.
So cheers to Jerry Jeff Walker.
Cheers, Jerry. God rest your
And
soul.
cheers to Django. We're sorry you couldn't be with us today, but we're going to do this again. And God bless all of you guys. You're just amazing, rocking our world.
Yeah, cheers to that. Great trivia question. The full name, first person to get the full name, Cameron got the full name first. Christina was so close. She was 2/3 of the way there. But we asked for the full name, and Cameron, you're gonna win. You won a bottle.
Jeff Walker.
Jerry Jeff Walker, bottle of 2018 Rutherford Single AVA series, our first release of this wine. Christina, well, I'll make it up to you, Christina. We'll figure something out. But we'll figure something out. We've got one more incredible wine and an amazing songwriter to follow. One of my favorite wines that we produce, a single vineyard Cabernet Sauvignon, Henrik Matt, and special vineyard, a vineyard that Alpha Omega has full vineyard control over up in Atlas Peak, the Cordes Vineyard. And this is the 2017. Not a lot of this wine left. So really excited about this. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, and I think for you guys that tune in quite often on these segments, you know that I personally have a love affair with Atlas Peak. The appellation up there, rugged. It's kind of, when you look at Napa, if you're driving through Napa, you have the eastern side where Atlas Peak is. It's bold, there's nothing growing there. And then you have the western side, it's lush, it's green. So you see that kind of style in the wines. And I think it perfectly describes the Cordes vineyard. It's something where you really, really need to nurture the vineyard to get that expression perfectly into the wine. And I think I'm always, when I'm looking and working with different sites, I'm looking at the personality of the vineyard and trying to get a feel for what that can express into the wine. And I think with Cordes, it's right there. It's a perfect expression of that single vineyard. We have on the outskirts of the vineyard, we have some rosemary, we have some lavender, wild lavender growing up there. And I think that's exactly what I get when I smell this wine. So for me, it's a wine that really hits close to my heart. And the 17 vintage, needless to say, very, very structured vintage. We had some hiccups. There were some heat waves that came in around Labor Day. There was wildfires also in that vintage. But this wine is, I'm in love. Matt?
You know, I think there's a lot of differences in some of the different appellations in Napa. And a lot of people see Napa Cab and recognize Napa Cab by the Valley Floor fruit. And I think in the Valley Floor, we see more ripe fruit. We see softer tannins. We see wines that are really big and dense, but approachable in the short term. I love the mountain fruit in Napa because it's a different expression. It's obviously cooler up on the top of some of these mountains. It's more rugged, as Henrik mentioned. You don't get the fleshy, ripe fruit as easily up there. You really have to have the viticulture dialed in order to get this great expression. Now, with mountain fruit like this, it's hard to deny that there's a difference in the texture. I think that the high altitude and rugged slopes definitely make a style of tannin that is a little bit more structural, a little rougher in its youth, a little more grippy. And the challenge in making great fruit from these mountain sites is to get the ripe, expressive fruit, but also to maintain that rugged mountain style tannin profile, and that a little bit more structure, a little bit more ageability. And I think this wine has it. You know, I personally feel that Cordes is and will show itself as one of the premier vineyard sites in Napa moving forward. It's maybe not as well known as some of the other sites that have been around a little longer, but I think in terms of potential and the way our incredible vineyard manager handles it, the potential is there to be at least at the top of anything you can find in Napa. This wine, I think, is really going to blow people's minds when they see it. And if they haven't tasted Cordes Vineyard before, it's going to imprint that vineyard in your mind, because this wine, it's got ageability. I feel like when I taste this wine, you can taste the rocks, you can taste the soil. Yes. You can taste the tannin structure, and it is obviously a unique site in the valley. And I'm just extremely happy to be working with this vineyard. It's something we control. We can do whatever we want up there to achieve whatever level of quality that we're looking for. And yeah, Cordes Vineyard, just an incredible mountain site up on Atlas Peak.
And I mean, there's literally, I think the last allocation of this 2017 Cordes is going to be made available to this group. So stock up on this. It's absolutely delicious. Atlas Peak, we're talking cool, we're talking rugged, we're talking about a lot of depth and a lot of character.
Mhm.
And as we let you all kind of enjoy this wine, I think all of those characteristics describe our next artist perfectly. Cool, depth, character, and rugged. Another Georgia Bulldog coming to us
No.
from Lafayette, Georgia. I
Dog, stick 'em.
What'd they do against Florida last week?
Talk about the Gators.
Oh,
They ate my dogs.
Oh,
They ate my dogs.
But let's not throw the football game into this. Let's focus on the music here. But this next artist, widely considered at the top echelon of the who's who of the Nashville community right now, experienced huge success as a songwriter. He wrote the hit "She Got the Best of Me" by Luke Combs. Incredible song, incredible songwriter. Coming to us from Lafayette, Georgia, we've got Channing Wilson. Channing, how are you?
All right.
All right, now I'm unmuted. Can you hear me? Doing good.
Yeah.
We got you now. How are you, Channing?
I'm doing wonderful, man. Thank y'all so much for this bottle of wine right here too, man. It is really, really, really good.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, where are the other three, Channing?
There's 4 bottles in this.
Oh yeah,
taster.
they're in the queue for sure. They're in the queue for sure. You were talking a little bit about the Cordes Vineyard, and it sounded a lot like my home here in Appalachia. And I live on top of a small ridge here in North Georgia, and actually have a whole lot of muscadine grapevines that grow here just naturally everywhere. And and the people that lived here before me have they created a vineyard here, and there's remnants of it because it's from about 40 years ago. So it's kind of like a little North Georgia Napa Valley here at my house. Not even close though.
Love it.
Hey, how is it? How you doing, man?
Patrick, how are you? How are you, my brother?
I'm good, buddy. I'm good, man. I miss you.
Miss you too, buddy.
Now, I got to brag on Channing, just to let you guys know. Channing is one of the best singer-songwriters. All of us in the Songwriters in Paradise family are Channing Wilson fans. And not to say that we're not all fans of everyone. It's just that Channing is he's the truth. I like to say that Channing is the truth. It's like, I don't know, when you open a bottle of wine, I don't care how much marketing you've done behind it and all that good stuff. It all depends on what comes out that bottle. That is the truth, and that's how Channing is. There's a lot of songwriters out there that might get a lot of love and affection, but when they sing, when the lyrics come out, that's what matters. And Channing's got that down. So Channing, I love you, buddy, and I'm glad you're here, man. And he does have 4 more bottles of wine. He said he was going to drink those, not while he was playing. He didn't want to mess this up, Michelle. See, smart.
Good.
But Channing, what you playing today, man? You I guess they got it ready. They got it queued up. What's the song?
Man. So this is I know I talk about a little bit here. But this is actually a song that I wrote this year. It's been an interesting year for us all, for sure. And the biggest thing for me is I've been home more this year than I have ever since I started traveling and playing music and writing songs. And so this has been an interesting year for me, and it's definitely changed me for the better. And hopefully songs are going to be better and everything, man. So it's songs ironically called Good Morning Hot Coffee. And you'll hear all about it here in just a second.
All right. Well, good. Well, let's cue that up, Mr. Channing Wilson.
Hey guys, Channing Wilson here, coming to you from my home in the mountains of Northwest Georgia. Tonight, my friends at Sip Napa and Alpha Omega have sent me over a really fine bottle of wine. Of course, it's a Cabernet, because they just know that I'm a huge Cab fan. This is a Cordes Vineyard Atlas Peak 2017. And this is my second glass. I'm working on a few here. I wanted to have a glass before I played the song so that I really wanted to incorporate the flavors and the feeling I get into the song that I played tonight. And I had a kind of a song in mind to play, and it was probably one that a lot of people have heard. But after my first glass, I actually started thinking about it, and it made me want to play a different song. And the connection that I have is that in the middle of my first glass, I realized that this bottle of wine is not to be taken for granted. It demands respect. And I wrote a song this year about not taking things for granted. And so I follow inspiration, and this bottle 100% changed my mind about the song I was going to play for you guys. So I'm chasing it, and this is a song ironically called Good Morning Hot Coffee, which has nothing to do with wine, but has everything to do with this particular bottle of wine tonight. So I hope you really like this one. This is called Good Morning Hot Coffee. Good morning, hot coffee, I love you, see you later. It rolls right off your tongue without a fight. No truer words were ever spoke, a poet's charm more invoked, as simple as 2 nickels cost a dime. It's the things you take for granted, like a denim shirt or an overused cliche. Good morning, hot coffee, I love you, see you later. Well, that's only what you tell me every day. The things we do to pass the time, words we say that never rhyme, can matter more than ones that we write down. And born for running words, fine for young loving bud, it's a recipe for missing your hometown. It's the things you take for granted, like a shooting star for children when they play. Good morning, hot coffee, I love you, see you later. That's only what you tell me every day. It's the things you take for granted, like when the bluegill bite or the beauty when you say, good morning, hot coffee, I love you, see you later. Well, I believe that's why I wake up every day. Good morning, hot coffee, I love you.
Yeah.
I'm not taking things for granted. I'm not going to take this glass of wine for granted any longer. I'm going to finish it. Back out to you guys. Thank you so much, Alpha Omega, and I can't wait to see y'all when I make it back out there this year.
Oh, great.
Guys, have a good
Well,
day.
we love coffee in the morning.
I'd like to give a shout out, if I may. Are we on?
You're on.
You're on.
I'd like to get a shout out, if I may, to our veterans. We just had Veterans Day, and I have a lot of friends and family that have served our country. And when they're out in the field, anywhere in the world, or if they're just out in the mountains at the Fifth RTB Ranger School down in Dahlonega, they say the best thing that happens to them in the morning is that cup of joe. So appropriate song for this week. We know our military is so important to us, and they serve our country, and we serve their families too, and we care so much for all of them, and they should, the soldiers in your cup. Oh, Folgers in your cup. Folgers, soldiers. I don't know if you've heard that one,
Best
Derek.
part
You're
of
a little
waking
young.
up.
Best part of waking up. Soldiers in your cup. So thank you so much, Channing. That was the perfect song for this week as well.
Thank you
And
guys,
also it's about wine. We usually start with wine in the morning.
Well, no. Well, I always say, Chen, thank God we have a Keurig. By the time I'm roll out of bed, I have my first cup in 3 minutes.
I heard that. That's great.
Channing, that was awesome, my man. I certainly can relate to that song. I love my morning coffee, and I love how you changed your song after your second glass of wine. I mean, that's the power of good wine, right? Everything changes.
You know, it's the power. It's the power of recognizing something when you have it in your hands, for sure. You know, I had my, you know, I wanted to taste a glass, you know, before I played a song, and I kind of had one in mind, and then, like, you know, I thought, you know, wow, here I am in North Georgia, and I have such a fine bottle of wine in my hand. You know, it just I don't know, it made me kind of want to. That's what inspired me to play. You know, I love life. I love my life. I love how a boy from right here in the mountains of North Georgia ended up in Napa meeting all you guys a few years ago, and I just chased that inspiration, man. It's just, I changed the songs. I called it audible right there in the middle of it.
You're
Love
amazing.
it. Love it,
We
Channing.
loved having you at SIP this last year, and you're an amazing storyteller. Mesmerized. I actually recorded you on set. We just had a great time, and so blessed that you're part of the SIP team, and looking forward to having you back here in Napa. Even if we have to socially distance, I think we can make it work. There's technology. We've got this audio technology. We'll do it. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys. That your event out there at your place was phenomenal. It was one of my best nights that I had there. It was really the fellowship and everything was first class. It was good.
And we were singing in the rain.
Oh yeah.
Love it. Thank you, Channing. Amazing. And you know, I mean, we've got to give a round of applause to all of our artists. I mean,
Incredible.
our artists, amazing music. Christian Bush, Lauren Jenkins, Channing Wilson, and last and certainly not least, I mean, Patrick Davis. Way to kick it off. Watching you and your dad play was amazing. Patrick, real quick, I just want to go to you. And I mean, all I'm thinking about what can we do, and everyone that's joining us, what can we do to support SIP Napa in the future?
Well, you know, just songwritersinparadise.com is the website. And as Michelle mentioned, we have kind of our makeup dates. Our 2020 makeup dates are moved to 21. That's April 15th through the 18th, I believe, are the dates. And, you know, we'll have to play it by, we'll see what happens. You know, there's some good news this week with some possible vaccines and treatments and stuff. So we'll see how the next month or two play out. But I honestly believe that if we have to change it, that's fine. But I also believe if we can't say for sure until March 15th, we're all going to be so excited to go anywhere. We're all going to show up. So, I think it's going to be a lot of fun when we do get to do it. But songwritersinparadise.com and all the songwriters that you guys saw today. And if we decide, if you guys want to do this again some other time, I mean, there's a great list. There's about 40 or 50 of us in the family, and everybody's talented in their own way. And we're fortunate, and we all pull for each other, just like we were talking about with Napa. The wineries that are part of Songwriters in Paradise, what's wonderful is you guys all pull for each other. And you know, every winery out there is all in it for the right reasons, it seems. And that's why the charity component of this was so nice today. And I hope you guys, thank y'all all for tuning in. And I had a blast. It was fun. From Charleston, South Carolina. I'm actually wearing my Lauren Jenkins shirt. I don't know if y'all can see that.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Well played. Well played. Thank you guys so much. Patrick, really appreciate it. And all those performances were amazing. And we hope you all enjoyed it's kind of an interesting virtual tasting experience. Our Giving Thanks virtual tasting. Really enjoyed the artist, the singer-songwriter component. And again, thank you for joining us. 25% of the proceeds from your tasting package are going to be donated to Napa Valley Community Foundation. But let's keep it going. We're going to also continue to donate 25% of additional wine sales from this event to the Napa Valley Community Foundation for fire relief. As you know, it's been a crazy year here in Napa. And what better way to support our community than to get great wine? It's time to stock up for the holidays, right? I mean, we're about to go into hibernation. Maybe not here, but some of the other parts of the country. And again, what we're going to do is we're going to send you a follow-up email offer. We've put together some great pricing. I hate to say this in front of you, boss, but we've got a case.
Special pricing.
We've got special pricing, the S word. Special pricing on a case offering from the wines that we've tasted. We're going to offer you futures pricing on the single vineyard wines, the Toyon and the Cordes. Again, those go quick. I believe this is the last call on the Cordes. That Cabernet Franc doesn't last long. So check your email, reply. If you want to order some wines, we would truly appreciate it. The support, again, Napa Valley Community Foundation. And Michelle, going forward, we have some other virtual tastings that we're going to be doing coming up December 12th that are also going to support Napa Valley Community Foundation.
Well, you know, every year we get together and we do a toy drive. And the first year that we did this, it was great because everybody was lined up with their toys outside. And you may recall being in that line. And then one of our wine club members breaks in front of everybody with a bicycle and sits it down. And I'm like, okay, this is what's going to happen the next year. We had so many bikes donated the next year. It was so fun. It was like the bigger toy thing. It's like the Magnum versus the 750. But we had such a beautiful time being able to share all of these toys, these gifts from you. And we can't donate toys this year, but we can donate funds to help the Napa Valley Community Foundation, who have identified our residents that are in need. And so please help out. There's a link. Donate. We're offering those of you who are $100 as givers to be able to have a complimentary tasting gift certificate. If not for you because you're wine club members, but maybe for friends, as you might want to gift to someone. Our patron level at $500, we're going to do a party like we did in 2017, our Big Bottle Benefit Barbecue. We're going to have a little gathering of barbecue. Robin is aching to cook for lots of people. How are you feeling?
Well, can I check in with Bear? Can I go off script a little bit? Because we didn't cook on this one, but I gotta give all our fans out there a tip for Thanksgiving. This will be the best tip you've ever had
a turkey tip
on how to cook a turkey. And I've cooked hundreds of turkeys in my life. Hundreds? Oh, you know, I mean, one year I cooked 20. So anyway, there is one cooking device that by far exceeds anything you can do anywhere. I don't want to hear about these deep fryers or anything like that. This is the best cooking device you can ever get. This is my one tip for you for Thanksgiving. It's called the Big Easy by Charbroil. You can get it from Amazon for $110. It's a propane infrared cooker. You drop a 18-pound turkey in it. There, no prep time, nothing. It'll be the best turkey you've ever had in your life. It takes 4 hours to cook it. You take it out, get your probe when it's at 161, 162 in the breast. The breast is on top, legs are down at the bottom. It's in a little cage. Trust me, this is it. You're gonna be golden. And then the other part two, get an electric knife. I know that sounds corny, but when you cut that, I mean, it is so easy. It's called the Big Easy by Charbroil. Get her done.
And the $9 electric knife. Well, I love it.
I had to go off.
We have blind tasted turkeys from various smokers and the Big Easy, and it always wins.
Well, let's put it this way. I only own 5 of them. So anyway, I cook a few Big Easies. So
love it. There's your Turkey Day tip right there. I mean, take that to the grave. Anytime Robin Baggett talks about cooking and barbecue, that's worth its weight in gold, boss. I'm gonna take you up on that.
And thank you for all of your support all year long. We're so grateful as we've all been challenged. We were able to keep all of our staff, and to have all of our staff with us, it's just been such a beautiful experience for us this year to all hold hands, and not hold hands, but to be a family. And we're all doing this, but we love our staff. We're so grateful to them, and we love our club members, and we're so grateful to you for your support and for staying in touch and still being a part of our family, even though we're a little distant. So thank you for those of you who were able to make it out. But we're going to continue to reach into your homes, into your backyard, and to wherever you need for us just to get together, fellowship, and have some wine, break some bread, talk about music, talk about food. We have an upcoming virtual tasting in January, but we also, December, we're going to open up that wine club shipment, because you're always wondering, why is this my wine club shipment? And Henrik loves to share with you these creative, beautiful things that are coming out of the barrels that he and Matt are tasting. They're going, whoa, this is great. So we're gonna have a lot of fun in December. We're gonna do desserts. We're inviting you into our home, into our kitchen. Robin's gonna do some keto.
Pumpkin pie.
No, that's not keto. You're doing keto bombs. And we have a CIA chef that's going to be joining us, and we're going to be doing some great desserts in our kitchen, holidays with the Baggetts, and then we are going to look forward to upcoming virtual tasting in January. That's going to be really special, and more to come on that. So please stay tuned.
Love it. We'll raise a glass to that. To everyone out there joining us, thank you again. Alpha Mega winemaker Henrik Poulsen. Thank you, Henrik.
Thank you, Henrik.
Matt Brain, our associate winemaker.
Matt.
Incredible discussion on the
Great
wines.
job.
Thank you.
We hope you guys are all well. We hope you enjoyed the wine. Join us for another virtual experience coming up. I got to give a happy birthday shout out to my mom and dad. I sent
there
them
you
a
go.
package for their birthday. I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Happy birthday, Patrick.
Happy birthday, Patrick.
Yeah.
I did even sing for him.
All of our artists, thank you guys so much. That was amazing.
Wonderful.
Everyone, take care, and we hope to see you again soon.
Cheers.
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 Guys.